Hello, welcome to the session on publishing an app in AppSource for Business Central. Thank you for joining. And let me introduce myself and my colleagues with me here. My name is Murali Avanamuthu. I'm the founder director of CETAS Information Technology. And I have my colleague Prakash, is the sales and marketing director, and Vignesh. He's the tech lead for our NAV and BC practice. Since we have published about 4 apps in AppSource, and we have gone through a couple of version upgrades so far, we thought we will share our experience in this webinar. And just before I start off the actual webinar, I wanted to just have a quick poll to understand where you are with respect to the AppSource publishing process, whether have you already published an app, or are you currently working on developing it, or you're planning to do. So let me push the poll question. Are you able to, I hope you're able to see the poll question. Have you published a BC app in AppSource before? Choices are yes, in progress, planning to do so, or no, or not planning to. So if you can kindly answer this question, I'd appreciate it. I'll give a minute for this poll to be done before we actually jump onto the presentation. Okay, so I hope you're able to answer the question. Let me see if I can push the results of this poll. Okay, so I can see some of you have already published, and many of you are in progress, and some of you are planning to do so. Okay, that's good to know. So I hope you find this presentation useful. So let me get started with the presentation. Vignesh, can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so some or almost all the content in this presentation are most likely available in various Microsoft documents related to developing and publishing an app. So if there is any omission or error in this presentation, I welcome any suggestions or feedback you might have. So with that disclaimer, so let me get started. Vignesh, next slide, please. So we want to cover this in sort of 3 areas of the overall process of publishing an app. The first is the getting started or the sign up. And the second is the actual development or the migration. If you already have an app, or let me call it as add-on application in Dynamics NAV, and you're looking at migrating them into the Business Central world, and that would be the migration. Or if you are first-time app developer for Business Central directly, then that would be the development process. So in our case, we have done both. So we can talk a bit about that. And finally, the actual submission process, which has both the technical and marketing validations, and what are some of the common pitfalls and challenges. So I wanted to cover some of that as well. Okay. So next slide, please. So let's start with the sign up. Yeah, next please. Okay, so if you're not a Microsoft partner, which I'm hoping you're all, but if you're not, then you should obviously sign up for the Microsoft Partner Program, and you would have this ID called as MPN, or Microsoft Partner Network ID. Yeah, and you should have access to what is called as a PSBC, Partner Source Business Center. This used to be a separate site, and now it's kind of moving into the Partner Center, which is going to be the one and only portal which all partners would go to. But right now there are certain things which is still active in the PSBC. And if you are a reselling partner, you would typically sign up what we call as a solution partner agreement. And if you're not, and if you're only planning to be ISV, and then you could sign up what is called as the partner registration agreement. Yeah. Once that paperwork is out of the way, and if you already have an existing ISV solution on NAV, you would have been assigned what is called as a dedicated object range, which is typically in the 1 million to 60 million series. And so that's something you can continue to use even in Business Central. Next slide, please. Okay, so we all know about the object ranges. So Microsoft has a core product in their object ranges, and then there is something called as customer object range. In NAV world, we used to say 50,000 object range, and now in the Business Central, we call it as PTE, per tenant extension. And if you're ISV, so typically you would again have in the 1 to 60 million if you're coming from the Dynamics NAV world. And if you're directly getting on to the BC Cloud app, then you would be allocated a range in the 70 million range. Yeah. And you should also take a decision whether your app is going to support both BC on-prem as well as BC SaaS. And there are certain implications around this decision, which we could talk further through. And typically about 1,000 objects are allocated per app. Okay, so that's the norm. But if you have a need for more, you could obviously apply for it. And some of the other formalities of the getting started or the sign-up process, you would have one developer account in Business Central Cloud, and this is you just need one per company and not necessarily one per app. Yeah, and then you should submit what is called as a marketplace registration form, and that gets reviewed by a central team in Microsoft, and then you will get the approval for either the object range, or you would also typically ask for a prefix code unique for your company or for your app. So the 3-digit prefix code is what you would attach to all your objects. So all those gets decided in this registration form. And then finally, of course, you should log into commercial marketplace within your partner center, from where you can manage all your offers. So when we say offer, so offer is where you will actually submit an app, and that gets reviewed and validated for both technical and marketing validations. And then the offer gets approved, and then it will be published in the App Store. So that's basically the process. So we call it as an offer. Yeah. So we will move on to the migrate and the develop section. And this is the technical area, and I would invite my tech lead, Vignesh, to handle this. Vignesh, over to you.
Yep, thanks, Murli. Yeah, let's start with technical requirement, how we are. So basically, when you are developing any Business Central app. So you need to consider these points before you get started with those things. So last year back when we started migrating our old CAL ISP solution to AL solution. It took almost 2 more months for us, and we have done many mistakes. And with that we have learned lots of things. So these are the steps we have followed. And first step, we just started finding our solution and extracting all our objects and getting into separate object, and we just take base app objects as well as our ISP object, and then we do compare so that we can get some delta files generated. Using the delta files, we can understand what are the customization we have done in our ISP, or some of the object we have touched in default as well, like changing primary key or changing default options. There are many cases are there. Like when you go for Business Central, these all things are breaking schema changes. So we need to keep eye on this, and we need to get it done. So with that process, we achieved that, and we understand these are the objects we have modified, and this is what we are going to migrate. And I'm going to next step, and we understand the modification since many of the codes which we have done, and those things were not at all used for customer, and some code we felt that needs to be remodified, and those things where we have identified. And moving to third step, and we prepared on Excel sheet where we will place all those customization, like we will get some in terms of view, or we will get some delta files, right? So based on delta files, we'll copy those object modification, we'll paste it over there, and each and object wise in terms of table, pages, and then code units, reports. And next, we just deep dive into that for analyzing the code, because some areas we touch default option fields and even primary keys, and many areas we have touched and we have break default behaviors, and we identified all those possibilities to extend existing table, and whether it could be a new table or creating a new additional field for the existing table. So those identification we did in that fourth phase. Then again, we sat and discussed with our product team, and we have gone for multiple cycle for re-engineering things. Some of the things we need to re-engineering while going for Business Central in terms of page view, and in terms of end user understanding purpose, and there are many things are there. We just re-engineer some of the codes in that, and we started converting from old CAL to AL, and we just build our app. And once it all set, we just published our app. This is a process we done in the initial stage, and this is what we are following for existing product. And the same is applicable also for new products. So it's not 1, 2, and 3 is not a case, but from 4th onwards, that is your starting point for new applications, any new application which you are developing. And moving on to next slide. So these are the things you must consider before submitting your app. So the first one is app mandatory setting. So app mandatory setting is needed because then only Microsoft or app source will know who is the publisher, and what is the version number, and what are the object number which you are using. And in some case, if you have any dependency app, that needs to be mentioned here. We will talk later about dependencies and what runtime you are using. For example, there are multiple versions are available in market, like Business Central 16 is released now, and there is a version called 15 and 13, 14 is also there. So you need to ensure where and what the runtime version you are publishing on. These are the things, mandatory things before developing any app or submitting into the app source. And So whenever you are developing, we may, in some case, you may need to use this date format in your code for filtering or any validation purpose. So now date format is strictly, you need to follow this kind of thing. It's starting with year, month, and date, and moving to control add-ins. So we all know that since Microsoft Business Central it's not supporting control add-ins like .NET DLLs. So you are strictly go with JavaScript-based add-ins, or either you can publish all your link libraries into Azure function, and you can call them into your app. So that's about this slide, and I'm moving to next slide. So before submitting app, so you need to get your app file to be signed. That is most important. Even whenever you are publishing app without going to Microsoft, there are pre validations are there that will verify your app whether the app has been signed or not. So obviously, you should not use your own system generated certificate. You need to get proper third-party certificate from the market, and you need to sign in with signing tools. Okay. So coming to application area, and since it's not mandatory thing, but whenever you're migrating any ISV module, so we have ISV module called NavBuild. So there we used multiple modules. It's kind of estimation, and then jobs, and then material management, resource management. So whenever we create any profile for the user, so unnecessarily user will get all those fields in their pages, right? So for avoiding this, we categorized all our fields with this application area, and we will enable the application area based on the module wise. So that user will know, get the view of only the respective modules, not for the other modules. That is why we made. But initially, if you don't have such a kind of modules, you are allowed only to put all kind of things. So you need to enter all in your application area property. Okay. So, and permission set. So whenever you publish app, so you need to put your permission set XML or inside your app. So you need to basically generate your permission set, and you need to incorporate with your app file, and that should be in XML format. We have some snippets for that, so we can generate permission set for your apps. So based on your tables and what are the fields which you have extended for default tables. Okay. So moving to next, and there are some trigger replacements are there. So if you have done any customization based on before company open and on after company open, that is not recommended right now. So instead you have to use you need to use task scheduler. So maybe you can create a task, and whenever a company gets loaded, and that will be get triggered for loading any data or any validation kind of thing. So strictly, you should not use this on before company open and then on after company open. Instead, there is a trigger called on company initialize. So you can use that one. But if any process is taking more than a minute, it's recommended to go with a task scheduler, so that it will not create any performance issue over there. So, and coming to prefix and suffix, so it's mandatory, since lots of partners are trying to publish their own app into App Source, and even if you take any one Business Central tenant, it will have multiple apps over there. So basically, this suffix is used for identifying our tables and fields. In such a case, so there are many apps will be there. So one or more apps will have same type of names in for tables as well as for fields, right? So for avoiding such a case, you need to add your prefix or suffix with your table name as well as for your field name, and I think it's mandatory for all your objects. And so it should be with 3-digit letters. So you should go and register with Microsoft by sending mail with T365 bal@microsoft.com. And once it is registered, and it is reserved for you, and it's the mandatory thing. And next part is classifying data. So it's again, so for additional layer protection purpose. So stick in, if you go for Europe countries, also there is a rules called GDPR, Global Data Protection Regulation. So their end user data will not get exposed to the other users. So for that, Microsoft has introduced this data classification. There are some types of classifications, or they're like system identification, end user identification, customer content, likewise. So you need to use these things. By default, it will be to be classified, but you need to obviously mention with your own, based on your own data. Okay. Moving to next slide. So there are some other processes are there. Also, so before you start publishing your app, you need to thoroughly publish and sync and install and uninstall and reinstall your extension with local Docker container. And because in some time, so it will create a problem with if you go for other localization. So you are developing for W1 and you are publishing an app into the some other tenant, or you are developing app and that is available for some other countries. Obviously, you need to get those Docker container or those localization, and you need to publish your app into that. You need to make sure it's everything working perfectly. Okay. And again, if you go for testing your extension, and if you are breaking any schema, so whenever you consider that you now published app into App Source and you are releasing a second app for App Source, and you need to make sure you need to compare your previous app with your current app. If there is any breaking changes, you need to obviously add upgrade code unit over there to handling a table and field schema changes. And apart from that, you need to include a test app while submitting your app into App Source. So it's mandatory. It should be covered almost 90% of your overall code, and you need to write a separate test app for that. Okay. So apart from that, we have a COPS there, and for a techies, this is very useful tool. So again, CodeCop will tell us what are the mistakes we are doing in the code, like defining a variable in wrong way, like even if you start with any function naming kind of thing, and those are the things. Even for a small space constraint, it will trigger you and it will warn you should not be do like that. So based on that, you need to correct all your warnings and errors based on CodeCop, as well as that is also applicable for App Source Cop. App Source Cop is mainly for publishing some of the apps you may not want to publish into App Source. So in that case, this App Source Cop is not needed, but it's better to use this App Source Cop because this will validate all your App Source related requirement, like prefix or suffix, and do you have any dependency installed, or are you correctly given your publisher names and other stuff related to App Source. It will validate all those things. And you can also define your own rules. Sometimes some of the warnings are not needed for since that is a warning, and it's not considerable for App Source. So you can set your own rule to avoid those warnings, and you can submit it into App Source. And there are concepts called library and dependency app, and library app will contain a common code for your apps, and so it will have a common functionalities, and it will only publish into App Source. And whenever customer install your actual app, so the actual app only will be there in that front. The library app will be there in backend only, not in as a front end. So it will be there as a hidden part. Okay. So coming to dependency, it's similar to library app, but it will be having its own functionality, like Right now we have a Microsoft Business Central base app as a base dependency app, and we are developing all our ISV add-on app. That is the same thing applicable to when we're going for dependency app. Even we do have a dependency app, like we published a VMP360 as dependency first app, and it has a common table for NavBuild. So it's again another product. So NavBuild has a dependency of VMP365. So take the case of example. So here I have given some graph for you. So consider this one is a library app which will have your all tables, common library codes like managing license part and other stuff. And there is an app called dependency app is there. It's dependent on one and obviously library app, and it depending on 3 and 4. And if you take app 3, it's depending on only library app. And if you take sequentially, like if you take other apps also, it has its own dependency. And obviously, whenever you before you publishing app into App Source, you need to ensure you need to publish all your dependency app into respective tenant, and you need to test thoroughly before you go into App Source. So handling localization. So in some case, we will, as an Indian partner, we will develop our app for India. So for India, for working with Indian localization. So we do develop some of the app for W1 market, which will work for all localization of Business Central. Like I can take a case of PayPro 365, which is payroll add-on. So we develop this on top of W1, which will work for all localization. But whenever we go for Australia or New Zealand or US, UK market, it will be having their own requirement. So it's strictly or it's recommended to follow a dependency app concept, not with releasing a separate app for other localization market. So you should, if you go with the dependency concept, it will be a much useful and much efficient way to handle your apps. So, and we started working on that, and we are planning to release some other localization app for our base app. Okay. And if you want to build a localization for Business Central, like considering India, so there is no localization is available since Business Central is not released for our market. If you want to build your own localization, obviously you need to contact Microsoft for that. They will approve your request, and they will give some criteria, some things are there. You need to sign up with them. Then only you can start developing own localization app. Okay. And sometimes after publishing your app, there needs to be a maintenance activity to do. So you should always align with your app with the latest Business Central wave, and considering it's now planned for 2 times in a year, starting with April, also another one in October. So you should always align with those Business Central wave release, so that you can your app can install into the latest version of Business Central. If you are not publishing with the latest wave 1 and the latest version of Business Central, whenever customer try your app, they will end up some error. Like there will be some schema changes, breakings are there in the backend. You need to make sure your app is always working with latest version of Business Central. And you need to get a latest version of Docker container for testing these things. So as a partner, you have a advantage to download pre-build Business Central from Partner Center. There is a portal called Collaboration where you can get a pre-built version of Business Central. For example, if Microsoft releasing release wave 2 for 2020 in October, means you will get a pre-built version in September itself. So that you can be ready for your app, right? So, and that's what this slide talking about. And that's it from my side, and over to Murali.
Yeah, thanks, Vignesh. So we will now move on to the actual submission process. Now that Vignesh has covered the technical aspects of developing or migrating your app. Yeah. So some of the documentations which are needed for the submission process. The first one is the user scenario document. So this should cover various scenarios which are covered in your product, and if there are any error messages, how to work around those errors, how to recover from the errors. All the scenario. If your product or app is fairly complex app with many functionalities, you can probably pick one scenario and just completely cover it from beginning to end, giving the screenshots, what needs to be done first, what needs to be done next, so on and so forth. So this document gets scrutinized completely, and the app testing team, they typically follow this scenario document and literally follow every single step you were going to specify. And if anything fails, then they're going to fail the submission. Yeah. So the user scenario document is quite important. And user manual document is an optional document, but we quite encourage you to do so, and either upload it in your site or something, and then give a link, or you can submit it along with the offer submission itself. And you can also give technical documents like installation and uninstallation procedures and instructions. And you can also give underlying design, data model, and if your app has any specific prerequisites, specific version compatibilities, so you can mention all that in this technical document. Next slide, please. Okay, so some of the considerations which Vignesh has covered. So there are some considerations related to, how you develop pages and how you define your role center page, and how do you decide your notifications and so on. Vignesh, this is a bit technical, so do you want to handle this?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
thanks. Yeah.
So it's not mandatory that you should always develop a role center pages and profile for your app. So since if you are developing a tiny app, so it's not necessary to have a profile page. And if you have such a kind of big app, so you should obviously go with specific role center pages and with specific permission set. That is what we have given in that slide. So, and you should decide and develop assisted setup for configuring and setuping your app. So it's always recommended one from Microsoft, because whenever a user install your app, they should get notified. This is the app has been installed in my tenant, and whenever a user go into your page or respective with your IFC related pages, user should get notified that these are the configuration and these are the setups needs to be done. And obviously you need to, and that needs to be easy kind of thing for user, so that you need to create a wizard page. Like it's quite simpler for the user. They will be give just like that. They will give a next, and it's clicking finish is very user friendly for them. So obviously you need to think for them. Okay. So, and that's it about this slide, I think, Smurli.
Yeah. Let's go to the next, please. Yeah, I think some of these slides are technical as well. So if you don't mind handling it, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever you are calling any HTTPS service within your Business Central app, so it always should be in a secure site. It should not be as a normal HTTP site, because if you use normal HTTP, whenever you're submitting your app into AppSource, obviously your app will get paid. So, and publishing a web service, you should not, it should not have any special character. And for example, I have given a purchase order. It should be like this. Even it should not have any spaces. So, and the earlier version of Nav, we can give an underscore, and even we can give a space over there. But right now, it's not allowed. And for loading web services, and you need to extract all your web services from your respective web service page, and you need to create a web service collection as a XML file, and you need to add it into your your app file, so that whenever app get published into App Source or published into respective Business Central tenant, so your web service will get published automatically. Otherwise, you need to install it, considering if you are publishing some add-on app or integrating with third-party app. So you obviously users will not go and install or publish these kind of web service sites. So for automating those process, we should use this web service collection and add this XML file with our app file. And again, coming to these things we have discussed already. So you need to prepare a proper permission set for the user, and you need to add that also with your app file. And from our side, also from Microsoft side, you should not test your app with super permission. You should always test your app with your own permission set. With there is a default permission set called D365 Premium User and then D365 Essential User. You should add those permission along with your permission, and you need to test. If you started testing with super permission, and you will get result as 100% pass, but when you submit it into Microsoft for a publishing process, when they are validating, and sometime it may get some errors because of permission. And it's always recommended to test your permission with your permission sets, not with the super permission. And in some cases, you may need to load a default data while publishing your app into a Business Central tenant. Even in our case also, so whenever app get published, so some of the number series take the case. So number series and some other dependent master data or configuration table data that needs to be loaded into the app, right? So there is option. So you can write a code in uninstall code in it, and you can seed the data into that. And otherwise, you can use a rapid start package, and you can also load the data into Business Central app. Okay. So there is no uninstall code unit right now. So you need to make sure and you are loading a right data, and that should not affect existing customer data. And coming to language file, so right now you can generate your own language file, and I think there is a command for generating default language file for all your objects. So if you go into that XLF language file, there will be a source, and against which you need to give your target languages. If you are going for other countries like UK, sorry, not for UK. If you go for some other Middle East, for Middle East, they will be using Arabic language, right? So you need to consider that as well. Earlier it was mandatory, so whenever you are publishing app for other countries, it's mandatory one. And right now it is not mandatory, since Microsoft has said that it will be handled by a local partner. So now you are free from that. So you can publish app for any countries, and language part will be handled by local partner. And obviously, as I said earlier, so you also should test with your local localization container for the testing purpose, whether it is working perfectly or not, and it's must one. And Murli, I think this is related to you.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Vignesh. So once you've covered all the technical areas, I started with some of the documents. So there are a few more deliverables which you'll have to submit before you can publish your app. For example, you'll have to prepare a video based on the marketing guidelines. So the marketing guidelines document has lengthy instructions as to how you could use Microsoft's logo, Business Central's logo, and how you should name them and so on. So please make sure you read it thoroughly and you follow that. And like I said, the user manual is something I already talked about. It could be in your product page or your company website. And the URL, you should have it handy when you are publishing the app. The user scenario document should be in the PDF format. And you'll have to take a decision whether you're going to offer trial or you're going to offer test drive or both, right? So if you're going to give test drive, then that's something you will have to have the sandbox and whatever the environment which you are planning to offer, that should be readily available. And the offer summary content is a precise, concise summary of within 100 characters. So you should have it written up. And the detailed description, you can go up to 3,000 characters, and that should be in simple HTML format. And there are only certain tags like P or EM or UI or whatever, so UL. So only those are allowed, yeah. And you can have attachments like 3 support documents in PDF. This could be fact sheets or white paper or some short notes or whatever. Okay, so those are also allowed as part of your documentation. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. And some of the choices which hopefully you would make before you even start developing it, but we are just covering it in the end, which is you'll have to decide whether your app is an add-on app or is it a Connect app. So for Connect app, you will only have to publish a service, but if it's an add-on, you'll have to actually produce the .app file. Yeah, and you also have to think about it from a commercial aspects of it. Okay, so are you going to offer this app as a free app, or are you going to provide trial, or you're not going to provide any pricing information in your offer description or whatever, but you're just going to choose your customers to contact you, and then you would actually handle this offline. Yeah. So some of you might have listed or might be familiar with Azure Marketplace, and there is I believe the Microsoft's monetization model is implemented, but in AppSource for business applications, it is not yet available. And I do understand this could be available for partners like us further down the line. But right now, we will have to handle the monetization. Yeah. And you could choose up to 2 industries. So there are various industry verticals which are available, defined within Microsoft: agriculture, manufacturing, hospitality, whatever. So you will have to choose any 2 here. And you also should be able to categorize your app. Is it a collaboration app? Is it analytics? Is it in the customer service area, or is it a finance related area, or HR, and so on? So this is also something you would have to categorize it. And you would obviously just have to decide which countries your app will be available. And like we talked about earlier, based on the country you choose, some of the language file requirements could come up. For example, if you choose Canada, so it's not just English is enough, so you also have to have a French language file available. Yeah. And the other choice you would be making as part of the app submission process is how the lead generation is happening. Microsoft AppSource gives you option to capture information about people who are showing interest in your app, and you can actually get those leads automatically in your system. And hopefully, if you're a Microsoft partner and if you have access to internal use rights, you are of Dynamics 365 sales module, you could actually use the CRM connector to get all these leads of people trying your app, automatically being created as a lead within your D365 sales. We do this as well, but there are other choices. So you could use some other external CRM applications, or you could just ask for HTTPS endpoint connection, and you can actually figure out how you would handle it within your website or whatever. Yeah. So these are all some of the choices you would have to make. And when you have listed in AppSource, there is this option of co-sell program in Microsoft. During the initial days, of course, there is some free options available, and we got some marketing assistance and so on. But now I do understand this is actually on a priced model. So once you opt for this co-sell model, there is something called as a OCP, One Commerce Portal within Microsoft, where all Microsoft sales personnel throughout the world look up on that portal, and they look for solutions specific to their customers' demand. And so this is quite useful if you want to make your app visible to the global Microsoft sales team. Yeah. And so once you're come up to here, so you're pretty much ready to submit. So you just go through the various technical guidelines before submitting the app. And in your website, you should have content related to help, support, and privacy information, and use license information. All this information should be in your website, and the links of them should be given in your offer summary and so on. Yeah. And you should be ready with the 2 logos for AppSource. So in 2 different resolutions. The resolutions are mentioned here. Don't worry about the details. I mean, we will be sharing this presentation as well as the recording with all the attendees. But for the purpose of enumeration, I'm, mentioning it here. Okay, and like we talked about the the short notes and the offer description, 3 documents and all that. Yeah. So once you have all this, and you finalize your name and the app name, as well as how you are mentioning the Business Central name. Okay, so you can't just like that call it as D365 or BC or anything like that. Microsoft marketing guidelines are very strictly followed. So you will have to, the first reference has to be always in the full name, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and subsequently you could drop the word Microsoft and just call it as Dynamics 365 Business Central. Okay, so that is the guideline. So please adhere to the guidelines. Yeah. Next slide. There are various resources available within Microsoft or on the public internet. So please make sure that you get access to it and you're part of these, so that you get all the help you need. Yeah. So the one is the Ready to Go program, and so if you're part of this, so this gives you various documentation and contents related how you would go about developing the app. And there is a community for Business Central. We strongly encourage you to be part of this community so that you can get the various updates and so on. And there is a monthly ready-to-go office hours calls is available. So please make sure you participate in it, because there are a lot of upcoming release-related discussions happen in these calls. Yeah. And there is a GitHub available. So if you want to post some questions, there's a forum available, so you can post some questions and so on. Yeah. And you can also contribute to Business Central module. So you can, give your suggestions for new ideas, or if you're looking for a publisher in any of the new objects, or in any of the objects which doesn't have a publisher so far. So you can basically, contribute to these areas. Yeah. And there is a Twitter feed and a Yammer group community as well. So please join and then, collaborate with the community. Okay. So these are all some of the resources which you will definitely find it handy. And that's basically it. So all the very best if you're right now in the process of developing, or if you're planning to do so. And we sincerely hope this information is been useful to you.